What's up, buddy?
Hey Pete, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well.
Welcome to the Nocturnal Podcast.
Yeah, I know. This is crazy, but I feel good.
Did you expect that we record this late?
No, I mean, I knew it was late, but I was like thinking like 9.
I know, it's ridiculous.
It's midnight here.
And I'm a morning person, like genuinely. So every week, my circadian rhythm gets completely thwarted on Tuesday night. So I have like this reoccurring thing every week. But I'm so glad you spent your time with us this night. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's awesome to be on here. When does Bostin sleep?
I don't know. It's very mysterious. He claims that he sleeps during the day and at normal times at night. But the thing is, he sends me texts at any hour. So I know that he can't really be sleeping all the time. He claims he sleeps for hours on end, but I don't know about that. But hey, listen, I was just watching a video on your channel. Did you just travel to Wisconsin?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was up there visiting my parents. So it was like the first time in 2 years that I'd seen them.
Oh.
So it was long overdue. It was one of those things.
Oh, interesting. I really liked the video.
Yeah, I just was like kind of feeling nostalgic because I like went to my grandparents' gravestone and everything, and I didn't even realize it'd been like 6, 7 years because it feels like it was just yesterday, and I just was like so caught up in training that that's all I cared about was like trying to become semi-famous on social media and like getting as strong as possible. So I kind of was really distracted from. It's because then I realized I'm like, man, I wish I would have spent more time with them, and my family's like really small. So all I've got are my parents, my sister, and it's pretty much it. And my sister's in Colorado, so I just don't see my family very often.
Oh, where's she's in? I was born in Colorado, actually. Plan to move back there someday. But you know, you touched on something that I felt also in my 20s, but for different reasons. But I was really focused on my goals, and I sacrificed a lot of the present for the future. And then I got closer to my goals one day, and I started having these fearful regrets, like I didn't live life in the present. 5 years just passed by. I got to my goal, but my other friends, they lived their lives, they experienced life. I was living for the future, sacrificing the present. And so I understand that issue of we're never at the destination. We're always on the journey. So if you're not getting part of the journey along the way, life passes you by, and you know, it's a real fear. But at the same time, Pete, the other fear is this. When this happened to me, I tried to reverse my lifestyle and live totally in the present. And when I did so, I also experienced a different problem, which is this. When people live in the present and don't have a clear goal that they're moving toward, we become restless and anxious, and we can lose a sense of purpose. You know, so it's an interesting thing. You have to have goals that you're moving toward, but you have to realize that the goal is not really the destination. The journey is the destination at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's perfect because I just at that time it was like I have to hit these numbers. I have to be a certain level of strength. And now I'm like I have the goals, like I'm competing in like 8 weeks. I'm still going to have those goals and everything like that, but I have to live more in the moment, like rather than focusing on just where I want to be, because I'm always like very long-term motivated. I have to just think about like enjoy each day, enjoy it with the people around you, because you don't know like when people are going to be taken away from you or how long we're going to live even. So it's just one of those things that was like really weighing on me quite a bit.
And the other side of what you talked about was like, I didn't say it so explicitly, but that's what I understood was your own goals versus others' goals. So the service to others. Because you were talking about living in the moment, but you're also talking about serving others and living for others, which is like one of the biggest learning lessons I learned in my lifetime is that without living for others, there is no happiness. As humans, we're social animals. We have to be part of a society and we have to sacrifice for others. And if we don't, or we have to sacrifice or serve others at least. If we serve ourselves, there's no joy in that. It's sort of like a religious thing also. You know what I mean? You can't serve yourself and be happy in Christianity also. You serve God, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
yeah. I've tried to like talk to more people too. Like it's little things. Like I just try to be positive with everybody and be nice to everybody, because I feel like that like translates all over the world. Like they're going to be nicer to everybody else, and it just feeds on one another. So it's just little things. Like I just try to be really respectful to everybody and polite, because I feel like that's not how the world is anymore too much. So if we can like kind of spread that around a little more, or if more people are, diligent about doing that, it's going to make a difference. So I just try to like wave to people, stuff like that.
Well, they already do that in Tennessee. You need to come to California and help out because here people are not nice to each other. Where you live, people are nice to each other. I don't even know how you notice this.
Yeah, Wisconsin's even crazier. Hey, Boston.
Hey,
I don't know
Boston.
if you can hear me.
Is Wisconsin friendlier or less friendly than Tennessee?
Well, I was up there and like everybody waves to me, but it's a lot smaller of a community. So it's kind of, it's both places are pretty nice. I really can't complain.
Boston, this is Pete. You guys have never formally met, have you?
No, I know all
I
about
think you have it.
Yeah. So Boston, Pete is from a powerlifting background.
Actually, I've heard a lot about you. Your name blew up, right? And wasn't it around 2013 too?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I literally saw your videos and I was like, oh, this is very cool because nobody had talked about anything like that. And I kind of followed in your footsteps a little.
Yeah, I remember. We were on the same time, yeah.
Yeah, you were blowing up all over the place. So it's like I'm a little starstruck, sort of. I've seen your stuff for so long.
Same. That's how I was when I talked to Boston originally. Yeah. But listen, hey, so Boston, just to fill you in briefly, Pete recently got off hormones for a couple of reasons.
Yeah, I heard about that. Completely off, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, it's been 8 months now.
And so you're not even on TRT or anything, right?
No, I'm just on like some health supplements off All Day Chemist.
But what happened, Pete? Recently, you had we never talked about this on camera. You had a scare, a cancer scare, which we talked about on text privately. Do you want to fill in our audience on the good outcome that came out of that? Thankfully, it wasn't what we thought.
Yeah, so I was like, I've been peeing blood for like 7-8 months. And like every week. Well, first it was like every month, then it was every week. And then at that point, I was like, I should probably get this checked out because I'm kind of like Boston. Like, I don't want to go to the doctor because they're going to charge me, $400 just for a checkup where I can just get labs off like private MD labs for $100. So like, I'm the same way. I'm like, why would I go to the doctor? I know how to interpret this, but I finally was like, all right, I should probably go in and get checked out and figure out why this is going on. Cause I'm like, if it's something serious, I need to get this handled. So I went in, they did all the labs, all the stuff I already knew, and that all checked out like it has been the last few months. And then he ordered a CT scan. We got that looked at, and all of my internal organs were 100% normal, which is kind of interesting after like being on PEDs for 10 years. But there were like 6 2-millimeter, very small kidney stones. So
Thank God.
Apparently there's one in like the urethra that's causing me to pee blood all the time. So I don't know. I'm not really doing anything about it besides taking Chanca Piedra and citric acid. That's really all I'm doing.
And your creatinine's still low?
Yeah, it was at one point it was just because I'd like lost so much weight. I got down to like 210 pounds body weight and my creatinine was like 0.95 and now it's like 1.1. So I don't know.
How has your strength progressed now that you've been natural? You were telling me you were going to compete soon.
Yeah, I'm going to compete in 8 weeks on absolutely nothing, obviously, besides just that health stuff. But like last time I got my testosterone levels checked, I've gotten a little lazy about the blood work, but April, my test was like 409. And my strength was like starting to come back a little bit. And then in the last few months since then, it's I feel a lot better. I feel a lot stronger. I actually have like somewhat of a libido. So I think my test levels are like 600 and my strength has come up a little bit. It's still like nothing what it was. Like
how about your free testosterone levels? Were they in the gutter?
I don't know. The labs I've gotten from off private MD labs were just total testosterone.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't gotten free test checked, but it was 409 was like April 15th. And I think based on just how I feel, I've got to be like in the 6s. Like I feel great.
I'm guessing you did a full post cycle with like HCG and everything.
Yeah, I just like tapered my dose down first for like 3 weeks before I came off to like 60, 70 milligrams a week. And then after that, I did HCG, HMG for about 16 days alternating. And then Clomid, Nolvadex, and then it came off everything. And like Leo will tell you, I was 38 test levels after 60 days, and then it slowly rebounded back up. I had no libido. And now I've nowhere near the libido I did on even hormone replacement, but it's actually like I have one now, so that's kind of nice.
I know. I remember that feeling when it came back slightly. It was like barely perceptible.
Yeah,
I was like, something's working.
Are you married?
Yeah, I am. I've been married for 7 months now. I've been with her for like 6 years though.
That's awesome. So
Congratulations.
I guess that could be an issue, right?
Hey,
Yeah, it was it was weird because it was like the tables were turned for like a few months, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I can't even get anything to function. I'm like it was that bad. I
Hey,
felt
Leo.
terrible.
So I got two stories to tell you today before we go. Don't let me forget. I shot my penis with I shot my penis with Caverject.
Okay, we have to talk about that.
That shit was legit. But anyways, another thing, I haven't taken a shot of steroids, Leo.
Yeah.
Today's 15 days.
Are you serious? Wow.
Nothing.
Why?
Nothing. I've gotten lazy because I haven't been training. So I was like, fuck that. So me and Ariella, we raced we had a bunch of friends over with kids, and she's been talking all this shit that she can beat me in a foot race. So I'm like, I go, all right, we're racing, right? And we go out and over here. I don't even warm up, right? I'm so cocky, right? Like, oh, I don't warm up. We get down. The guy says go, and I'm smoking her right away. We get to about halfway. We get to about halfway to the target, and I can't even see her. And my hamstring goes.
Oh.
So I am so fucked up right now, dude. I'm like immobile. I can barely walk. My shit is so fucked up.
Wait, did you just strain it?
It popped, and then I just literally froze up. And I don't know how bad it is. Thank God there's no bruising. But, dude, it was the worst. But I think it's just a strain, though.
Hamstring tears are so common. Apparently, people recover from them easily. Okay, since you're here, Boston, we got to do some housekeeping. First of all, some updates. Number one, Pete, you might be interested in this. I have a video coming up tomorrow on opiate antagonists being used to improve PCTs. I think it's a really exciting thing. I wanted to let the audience know about that. That's the first time I think anyone's made a video or discussed it. Boston, this is basically about blocking opioid receptors instead of just using an aromatase inhibitor or a SERM to help with PCT or fertility, by the way. Second thing I want to mention is, Boston, thanks to you, I made a video on HCG and weight loss. You blew my mind. I had no idea this thing caused weight loss. Dude, I was like, listen, Boston doesn't notice things that are not true. So I'm going to go figure it out. Immediately I realized that HCG, part of it binds to the TSH receptor. And it, not just that, it does many things to the thyroid. So I'm making a video on that. Thank you, Boston. And then also we have an upcoming video on penis pumping, which is very valuable. I promise. It sounds funny, but the audience listening to this, for those of you guys that have erectile dysfunction ever, even going off PCT or recovering from steroids or something like that, these things are extremely useful. I'm making a video on it coming up because the pump company that I used to use myself, I bought their pumps like 4 times, they're amazing, actually saw my previous video and gave me a discount code. So LA Pump has a discount code that's LongLeo. But remember, you don't have to buy... It's true. Anyway, but you don't have to buy the pump machine. You just need the cylinder to do water pumping. So it's less than $100 total. Okay, the other thing I want to ask is, Boston, how's Ariella doing? Without getting into too much detail, I know she was not feeling well a while ago. Is she feeling better?
Well, we were both sick with the COVID, and then her dad passed away, but she's doing good.
So I want to let the audience know we're going to have a cool episode coming up next week, I think, with Boston.
Next Thursday.
Exactly. I wanted the audience to know if you guys have any questions about female use of hormones or anything regarding family and females, Lucy might pop in. She's pregnant. I never put a video of her while she's pregnant, but for Boston, she might pop in a little bit. But anyway, it'll be a fun discussion. So I want to let everyone know about that too. Oh, also, Boston.
I also want to say, like, for all the chicks like watching too, shoot all your questions, because literally Ariella has ran everything: testosterone, trenbolone. This is before I met her. She's ran all sorts of male hormones. So if you have any kind of, and she's very open about side effects. So if you guys have any questions, let us know.
It'll be very fun. Also, Boston, then we have Larry Pollock and then Phil Viz and then Blue back to the coach list.
Yeah. Okay. Or like I said, if you want to do another one with 2 weeks, we can fit another one in. I don't really care. That shit's funny.
That one is very fun. All right. So I wanted to ask you guys, well, one thing, Pete, before we move on, are you planning to stay natural while competing in powerlifting with less of a focus in the next 5 years or so? Or are you planning to go back?
Yeah, I'm planning to stay off. Like, my deadlift's down like 200 pounds and my bench is down like 100 pounds, but
that's not so bad.
I don't know. I want to see where I can get. So
how much is your deadlift now?
It's honestly like I want to get like 683 at the meet.
Holy shit.
Natural. Wow, that's very impressive.
Yeah, but I was doing 871 before, so it's like, it's a lot.
At what body weight?
That was at 242 I would compete at. I cut down from like 250, like we water cut the last week. So I was really like 250, but weighed in at 242, and now I'm like 220.
Did you ever compete against Larry Wills?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Twice.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah,
So
he's very nice.
Are there these tested organizations that you could enter?
There's basically one like predominant federation that's tested, USAPL, but you have to be 3 years drug free before you're like, you have to sign a paper 3 years drug free, and I'm like 8 months. And I still don't know, like, ethically if people would like that. Even after 3 years, if people would be like, oh yeah, it's cool now. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna ever do that, but
Do you think, this is a good question, do you think you would be as strong as you are right now naturally if you never ever touched a steroid?
yes, because
Okay.
I was deadlifting under the same conditions. I was deadlifting like 700 pounds before, and my bench wasn't as good, but I trained really, like, it was really reckless and
You're
stupid.
saying before you started taking stuff, you had a 700-pound deadlift?
Yes.
Wow.
Holy
That's
crap.
fucking crazy. That's crazy.
Just genetic outlier with the deadlift, but there's a lot of strong natural people now. I truly believe that, just because there's so much more competition, and I still think there are people who slip through the cracks. Like there's a few guys I'm like skeptical about who are like the top powerlifters, but I think there's a lot of crazy strong natural guys. So
What's your bench?
my bench now is like 353, but it was 463 on gear.
So
Yeah, the
you're
bench-
just like a really crazy deadlifter. Like your bench is really not that crazy, but you're just a really
Yeah.
strong deadlifter. Okay.
No, it's also Boston. The androgens most affect the bench press. So the
Push, right? It's more
Yeah.
of a push, right? Yeah.
yeah. Hey, Pete, what do you think when you see like bodybuilders like Ian Valliere and James Hollingshead lifting really heavy deadlifts? Are those impressive to you also, despite their body weights?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because like I was around Dallas and he was pulling 865, and I was like, what the actual? Because
For reps.
yeah, he did 865. He missed 900, and then the other thing that he did that was crazy. He was in the same room basically, and he took the 200-pound dumbbells on incline and threw them up for 8. And I was like, what the hell? Like I'd never seen a bodybuilder that strong. Like he was even stronger than like, Johnny Jackson, Ronnie Coleman, and he could do it all. So I was kind of jealous. I was like, well, this guy looks awesome, and he's just as strong as all of us powerlifters. And he blew me away on bench.
I see. This is why I wonder, Pete, sometimes if people with cholesterol, with genetics that make them have high cholesterol levels, are also the people that tend to be the most powerful. I think I want to make a video on it and do some extensive research. But
Leo, do you think the massive amounts of EPO that Dallas took, I mean, massive amounts, do you think that had anything to do with his endurance? Like you said, what he was saying, he would go and do these bench presses, high weight for reps, and then go and do dumbbells.
yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, it's much more significant than equipoise. And Pete, you feel equipoise when you take it. You have more of endurance even during the set, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. Equipoise doesn't do anything for strength, though.
Yeah, just endurance, right?
Yeah.
You feel more as endurance. Okay, so I also want to mention, guys, Boston, did you see Antoine's video? So Antoine, is his name Vaillant?
And yeah, Antoine Vaillant, yep.
So that was an amazing video. I just want to let the audience know. Antoine made 2 amazing videos on his channel about his recent relapse. They were so forthcoming and honest. In addiction, sometimes when you're addicted to something, you have to out yourself. So you can't get stuck to keep doing it. So he made a video recently outing himself about his relapse and actually saying that his bicep tear probably happened, the recent bicep tear, because he was so dehydrated when he was relapsing on stimulants, which is, by the way, very common. People use stimulants, they get dehydrated. So it was a beautiful video, actually.
So he relapsed after the Olympia?
Yeah, he relapsed a couple of times after the Olympia.
And we're talking about hard drugs like meth or
Yeah.
right?
Former, yeah. And I think he lost like a lot of his size. Like if you see him recently, because when you use those stimulants, you can't eat, can't sleep.
It's crazy because if you just were to pay attention to his Instagram and what he posts, you would think he's like the happiest guy in the world and would never ever go that route,
That's how it is, unfortunately. Okay, so Boston, you got to explain something to me. And James, Pete, me and you will be observers here. I want you to explain to me, Boston. I'm going to share my screen because I just don't. And this is not hate, by the way. Oh, wait 1 second. This is not hate, by the way, but check this out. So, James Hollingshead, I've been hearing in interviews recently that James, Nick Walker, and Ian Valliere and Labrada are the future of the IFBB. He does look great here, but I had like I'm confused. I understand he has a lot of muscle. Wait, these are very good pictures. I had my assistant pull the.
It's funny, Leo. Me and my buddy were sitting down the other day at my house, and I'm like, "Who is the most overrated bodybuilder right now on the circuit?" And he was like, "James Hollingshead, without a doubt." And I started laughing, and it is true. Like, he does look good, right? But for going to the Olympia this year, he's and people are hyping him up like he could be top 6. He's by far overrated. You know what it is, Leo? He lacks separation.
Well, it's not that, Bostin. I noticed these pictures don't show it that well, but look, I don't know what I'm talking about. But what I could see is he has really narrow clavicles, but also he has small shoulders. They're relatively.
And his arms aren't that big either.
Arms are small. Waist is torso is very long and thick. I'm not trying to hate on him, but I'm just confused. He's not in the same league as Labrada.
He needs some of my oil.
Yeah, he could use some oil in some places.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so you see that too, huh?
100%, man. But his coach is the most overrated in the game. We already know that.
He's so loyal to him, though. He loves him.
Yeah,
it's so funny. All right.
I don't know anything about bodybuilding, but his shoulders look small proportionally.
For sure.
Proportionally, right? It's interesting. So, Pete, I want to ask you about a couple of things that we often get questions about this indirectly. And now we have a real powerlifter who really knows drugs. And I want your opinion on a few things. Number one, what is GH use like in powerlifting from the super heavyweights and then the other classes? And do you think GH actually contributes to strength in the long term?
It's just nobody uses it. Like, honestly,
yeah.
Nobody really uses GH or insulin at all. I'm sure now guys maybe are like starting to look into that, the heavier powerlifters, but I was around a lot of the top guys and like nobody used GH. Some guys would use like small amounts if for like injuries and such, they thought it helped, but like mostly like powerlifters don't want to spend that kind of money, so they just do like peptides.
I bet my left nut that fucking Larry Wills is on a lot of the growth hormone.
Yeah, that's different though. Yeah, exactly. But do they use Cardarine, by the way? I wonder if it really helps because you're doing one repetition. Does it help at all with endurance?
I don't think any powerlifters even know what that is, to be honest. Like, it's not, these things are just not out there in the sport as much. And like, I've been around it. It's just the basics. Like, everybody lies about doing, nobody says they do Tren, but everybody does Tren. And then like, everybody loves Anadrol. And that's really like, those are the main ones. And
wait, that's one of my That's one of my sub questions is because you're a non-responder to Anadrol, and I love Anadrol, although I didn't obviously benefit as much as, I didn't get that strong. But whenever I used it, I developed so much strength. And for me, the Anabol was sort of like pointless. You didn't respond well to Anadrol. How often do you see powerlifters that don't respond well to Anadrol?
Almost never, because I was like the only guy I knew. And I tried many different sources. The last source I was using for a few years was, you guys know JP from the forums.
Yeah.
Juice Pal?
His stuff, yeah. Yes.
Wow, he's good.
His stuff was great, and like he was always awesome with me, and I used him for years, the last few years, and I didn't even respond to his Anadrol. So I don't know. Like Superdrol would give me crazy strength. Like I could take that for 10 days, and I would feel like strength that I didn't have before. And like that was my favorite oral, but Anadrol, nothing. And Tren, I responded obviously very strong to as well. So.
But what about, this is the thing I never understood. Tren for me worsens my endurance tremendously. Like it's very noticeable. I get out of breath, asthma, not asthma, but you know what I'm talking about? Pete, how does that not affect you when you're training for powerlifting where you need to do your, those repetition work, speed work, all that kind of stuff? Does it not affect you? Or is it net positive?
It affects you, but like, there's nothing like it. Like it's the best drug for powerlifting, hands down. There's nothing that can, I could take every other anabolic, and I couldn't achieve the levels I had on just Tren. So it was like that good for me.
Not even Deca? I feel like Deca would be really good.
It doesn't make you strong.
Deca's a no-go. Deca dick. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as far as strength gains, I feel like Deca really helps on a lot of my lifts because it helps with joint lubrication.
With the joint, yeah.
Feels smoother.
You're right, yeah. Like 300 milligrams, right? And then...
Yeah, I mean, nothing high, 300 to 500.
I wanted to ask you, Pete, also about exercises. So, first of all, do you think the bench press is a good third exercise for powerlifters? Obviously, I hate the bench press. You're also not gifted at it naturally. I feel like it's not. I feel like maybe a shoulder press would have been a better press. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I actually like the bench press a lot. Like, I love training it, but there's a lot of people who make that argument, and it makes sense as far as the overhead press being a more full body movement. That would make more sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love bench press though. Even if I'm like not as good at it as the other lifts, that's one of my favorites. So
What about the lack of a pull movement for the upper body? It seems so like, let me show you guys something. So there's this weird sport. Let's go back to James for a second. There's this weird sport I want to show you guys. Have you ever heard of Maswrestling?
yeah.
So this is Gennady Vikvinya. He's one of the top 10 arm wrestlers in the world. This is Denis Siplenkov. He has the world's curl record. So this is, oh shit, I gotta turn this off. This is a weird, they hold this peg thing and pull. It's one of the most interesting competitive sports I've ever seen.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's actually, I really wish I did this instead of arm wrestling. I bet I could have been really good at it. I'm really good with like pulling movements. But anyway, I thought this was cool. But I was going to ask like, Pete, why is there no pulling movement for the upper body? You guys are so obsessed with squatting and glutes and hip movements, but there's no like pull down or weighted pull up. Don't you think that's missing?
It'd be cool to do like weighted pull up or something, but it would all depend on body weight. So that one's too hard to do. But deadlift, everybody feels like with deadlift, it just encompasses all the muscle groups. So deadlift is what everybody respects the most. Like people who have a big bench, they're kind of like, all right, whatever. But if you have a big deadlift, like everybody loves you. That's how it always was.
Who popularized this idea that if you powerlift with the right form, you won't injure yourself? Recently, I was watching a discussion between Dave Tate and J.M. Blakely, in which both of them are talking about their overuse injuries. One has a hip replacement, one has this. Do you believe the idea that if you squat with the right form and deadlift with the right form, irrespective of the weight you use, you won't damage your joints or body? Do you think so or no?
No, I think it's just the years of doing it. Like I've been doing it 16 years and my body's like beat to hell. So it's a matter of the repetitiveness of it under heavy weights. So I don't think you can even avoid it if your form's perfect. It's going to happen. Like my hips like jacked up to the max. It's destroyed. I can't squat like at all anymore. And that's just from like pushing it to the limit all the time. So
I'm so glad you said this because
yeah.
People get told things by other people like if you do this the right way, you'll never hurt yourself. That's not true. There's just a force of weight going on your joint, slowly causing. Actually, you know what happens when the force goes on the joint? Little bits of the joint of the cartilage break off, and that cartilage gets sensed by your immune system, and your immune system treats it like an antigen and attacks it. That's how arthritis begins.
Don't you think there's genetic outliers though that are like really good with avoiding injuries and stuff?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask Pete. So if a guy is wide-hipped naturally, is he less like will he be less prone to injury from the squat?
I think like serious injuries, yes, but the problem is people get anabolics and they are pushing these heavy weights and they get these terrible muscle tears, like tendon tears. I've seen until you guys see like a guy in person blow his freaking quad tendons out, it's like the most horrific thing you've ever seen. Like I've seen this happen in person, like standing 20 feet away from the guy, 800 pounds on his back. Both his quad tendons literally snap
and you see that shit roll up.
Yeah, it's freaking brutal. Like, and then the guy had to wait for 30 minutes for the ambulance. It was terrible.
It happened to my dad. His whole, not working out, but he was doing jujitsu, and when he threw, both of his quads rolled up on him completely.
Wow.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I'm so afraid of jiu-jitsu, bro. Boss, does your father do Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, it was a throw, and he got stuck on the mat, and both his knees went.
Bro, that stuff is hectic if you're strong or if you're a weightlifter, because you go in there, you're heavier than everybody else, so they put you with a big guy. The guy's already experienced, and then you're not used to the movement, so you're very strong, so you might move suddenly, and I kept hurting myself whenever I would go to that stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to him.
So we got a comment on the full video of the podcast posted today from a guy called Mohammed Selmi. He said, please, one episode just dedicated to Jason Blaha. And I wanted to respond to this because we have a friend of Jason Blaha here, who's Pete. I don't watch Jason Blaha's stuff usually, but I'm still subscribed to his channel. Today yesterday he posted a video. Apparently he's being attacked by the Valley Girl Vegan Gains about his bench press or about his history with the mercenary thing. And I just want to advise people who don't like Jason Blaha to go watch that video. I bet you'll pity him a little bit and you realize that he's being, to be honest, I felt like, people should go a bit easy on him. Everybody makes mistakes in life, and he's admitted his mistakes and he seems to be honest on videos.
What were his mistakes?
He was very stressed out during a period of time on YouTube. And in that period, he was rude to people. And also he claimed to be a mercenary for hire. So, people were harsh on that. And he became sort of
He lied about that?
Yeah, you didn't know about this? Okay, so this is not the direction I wanted to take it in,
He
but
used to make videos about me, like literally. In 2013, that guy used to make videos about me nonstop.
that's true. That's true. I used to see them. But yeah, basically he claimed to be an assassin.
Oh God!
So
I
that's
I knew nothing about him. I always just wrote him off. I thought he was a goofball.
No, but I felt sorry for him. So I just wanted to say, for the guys that are, if you watch that video, you realize the guy's trying his best, and you should never pick on somebody when they're down, in my opinion.
That's a good friend of yours, Pete, or is Leo being sarcastic?
Well, I've always been friendly with him. So like, he's always been nice to me, and I've been nice to him. And he actually, like, Leo knows Scott, and Scott Davenport, he agreed to do a podcast with him.
Oh,
like,
really?
He literally, I don't know if it's going to happen because he said I could be in on it, but he said that he would actually do it. But he said we're going to be trolled to death afterward because his trolls follow him everywhere. And Vegan Gains, that guy's always been super nice to me too. Like, it's crazy.
Really?
Yeah, he comments on my stuff. He like wanted to do an interview with me, and I'm like, I kind of was like, not right now or whatever. But him and Jason have always been nice, so I'm just.
Well, it's because you're such a nice guy. Nobody can dislike you, so they dislike each other, and then they come be nice to you afterwards.
Like, do you ever troll people, Pete, or you just stay in your lane?
No, I don't want to troll people. I feel like I don't like getting that back. I'm like, it comes full circle, and then I get.
It sure does come full circle. Hey, let's do some cycle advice. So this week we had some cool questions.
But hey, that's pretty cool that you were able to build your name where it's at without any trolling.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be kind of a dick on Tren, but. I'm not gonna lie.
Do you believe it that Bostin has like no psychological effects to Tren?
Sometimes people say that. I don't know. I don't know. That
It's fascinating, right? For me, it's like a life-changing thing. You take Tren.
You're never.
I mean, 100 milligrams and it's life-changing. Maybe 20 you could get away with it, but 100 a day and it's life-changing. I become very weird.
Paranoid, angry.
Speaking about Tren, I just got a phone consult today. And they actually watched the channel because they mentioned the channel at the end. And it was this guy and his wife, and he wants to do his first show, Men's Physique. And they're very nice. And one of her first questions for me is, if we wanted to hire you, can we avoid certain steroids for his contest prep? And I said, what steroid are you talking about? Like, she goes, I don't want him taking any Tren because I guess he's like probably a maniac. And I started laughing because like it seems like these chicks just hate how their like dudes act on Tren.
Yeah, they must, man. I was miserable on Tren. Okay, so Aaron Stafford says he's doing a 12-week cycle of Test E, 400 milligrams weekly, 25 milligrams of Anavar for the first 6 weeks pre-workout, and 25 milligrams of Anadrol pre-workout for the last 6 weeks. It's his first cycle ever. In response, a guy called Bo, not our Bo, but another Bo, said, personally, wouldn't start 2 compounds at once in your first cycle. Try test first. And he said, makes sense, but I want to push strength hard. So I thought this would be a cool one for Pete. If you were advising someone who's doing his first powerlifting cycle ever, would you advise that they not use so many compounds at once and try to get the most out of the least?
Yeah, I've got a guy like that now. He's like a freak of nature, and he's just on testosterone. And I told him, just use testosterone till we basically plateau. And like, I got to a point, I took so much stuff off the bat that like test felt natural. So you don't want to end up like that. I personally think 25 milligrams of Anadrol too. Like, I wouldn't do that for a first cycle or anything, but that's too low of a dose in my opinion. And I love Anavar. Anavar, I would do 50 milligrams, and you can run it for like longer periods of time, get crazy strength gains. It's like my favorite oral.
That's very true.
Strength.
What do you think, Bostin?
I'm surprised he says. Anavar is his favorite oral for the powerlifting.
He doesn't respond to Anadrol. That's why. There's not many options.
Anadrol, Debo would probably be the first choice for that. But dude, I don't know if you guys have ever used like an injectable Trinabol or Inject T-ball, but there's something about Inject T-ball that it's like way different than the oral version. That's like one of my favorite injectable orals is injectable T-ball. But the only problem is they got to make that shit and all that glucol. That shit will stink your whole room up for the amount of glucol they have to make so that stuff doesn't crash. This cycle is like for a beginner, I guess for powerlifting, I would say what Pete said. I would bring the test to 500 mgs a week, and I just wouldn't use any orals until you plateau with strength, because I think somebody who's never used any gear before is going to respond a long time with strength gains on just 500 mgs a test.
I agree. The only thing I'd add on top of that is I think that if you use an oral every day, you lose some of the benefits of having an oral. One of the advantages is not having stable blood levels. If the compound comes in your body and out, you don't adapt to it and have what's called tachyphylaxis, reducing effects over time. So maybe it's a little bit less significant with Anavar, but with Anadrol, I think if you took it 3 times a week, you could take it longer with less liver damage and with more strength gains. What do you think, Pete?
See, that's something I never knew about until I started watching your recent stuff. I wish I had done it that way, where just like the off days from training, I didn't run the orals, but I ran them straight through. Like I run them for weeks on end, but I wish I had done that because I didn't even know about that.
Well, I just noticed it because when I started learning about other medicines, I noticed that the greatest adaptation happens when the drug has the longest half-life. So for example, Phenibut, you can get addicted to easier than Baclofen, a shorter acting version. So that idea, that adaptation was what gave me that idea. So Carved Outta Stone, our buddy says, gonna try my question again. He said, want to try a last blast to see if I can make one last decent showing before easing up on this lifestyle. Haven't taken anything for a while. He's never taken more than 500 milligrams of testosterone. He's 47 years old. He wants to look his best, get some decent pictures, and not lose his hair, which is the problem. So I don't know if any of us are experts on hair, but I asked my buddy Derek sometimes, and it seems that testosterone with dutasteride or finasteride is somewhat safe on the hair for people that are very sensitive. And it seems that nandrolone without finasteride and dutasteride is somewhat safe on the hair. Some people even use nandrolone up to like 1 gram or 2 grams, but they look like crap probably on it with the water retention. So with that said, I don't know if you really can protect your hair and look that great. But what do you guys think? Boston, what do you think about this?
I don't know, man. I've never had hair problems, so I really never really got into it. There was a guy on my forum that was selling this hair formula that my clients really loved. It was like minoxidil.
Minoxidil, yeah.
Yeah, that was the main ingredient, but people liked it. But yeah, he's 47. I mean, it's get up there in age.
He's very fit, great physique. I mean, to comment on these, the idea is like he wants to look his best. So it's sort of like drugs that, I mean, unfortunately, the drugs that he's going to look for really affect the hair, like Masteron, Primo, Winstrol. All of these things will cause, basically, you want to use drugs that cause less water retention and harden you up, sort of like a pre-contest guy. On that topic, Pete, have you ever used halotestin?
Yeah, I ran that. This was like my last big cycle. I was trying to pull 900 pounds in a meet. So I was on like 2 grams of test and 1,500 NPP at the end. And then I was running like 40 milligrams of Halo. And I did it for 4 weeks. When I did 20 milligrams the first 2 weeks, I felt fine. When I bumped it to 40 for the last 2, the toxicity was crazy. I felt like I was going to throw up all the time. But strength is really good on it. Like I felt... I didn't feel as aggressive as Tren, which I was kind of somewhat upset about, but because I was hoping it would like hit as hard as Tren, which I didn't think it did. But the strength gains were good. It was just super liver toxic, albeit 40 milligrams is a really high dose.
Yeah. I was wondering if you'd respond to it since you responded to Anavar so well. Sorry, boss. What were you saying?
You see how he just said about the toxicity, how he was nauseous and wanted to puke all the time? If I run my drugs high, like as I got, like when I was at early 20s, I could take everything I wanted to be fine. Like after 25, 26, when I started taking the same amount of drugs, I'd always feel nauseous and sick, and I wouldn't be able to eat, or I would feel like I'm a puke. I'm hoping that dialysis cleans me out better so I could fucking run a lot of gear.
until you get the transplant at least. But
well, no, I won't run gear on the transplant. I'm giving up at that point. But I'm saying while I'm on dialysis, I want to run my favorite cycle, which is 1 gram of all the cutting drugs.
Okay, so what advice would you give this guy if he wants to look good? He's never used anything but testosterone. Boston, you're into the aesthetics thing. What, Winstrol, Masteron, Primo?
I would say his best bet, even though Primo is still a DHT derivative, is probably going to be the least amount of...
no, it affects the hair, unfortunately. Let's pretend he didn't say anything about hair.
Test Primo Anavar.
Yeah, Winstrol would work also. Masteron would work also, right?
Yeah, but Winstrol for somebody at that age is going to dry the hell out of their joints.
Yeah, I could barely tolerate Winstrol in my early 20s. Hey, how do you like Winstrol, Pete, for strength?
I was always way too scared to do that because of the joint thing. I always heard about the joint thing. I was like, I don't want to touch this. Yeah, there were certain things that were a no-go. I'm like,
you touch it now.
I used Winstrol by accident. It was like a fake. I don't know what it was, but it was fake, and it was Winstrol in it in my early 20s. And I knew immediately, like I took it 2 days in a row, my joint starts hurting, but my bench press gained like 30 pounds or something like that. I was like, holy shit, this is great. I kept using it for about a week before I realized I'm going to injure myself. It wasn't working out. Okay, we'll move past this one. There's a couple more interesting ones. So the More Power says he's been cutting from 200 kg, over 400 pounds, and he started adding more muscle building compounds due to Corona and working from home, being able to train in the gym and have all cooked meals and stuff like that. He's currently 180 centimeters, so he's just above 5'10". He's 127 kg, about 25% body fat. So he wants to use Test E300, 100 milligrams of Maswrestling, Dianabol at 15 milligrams, and Proviron daily. So I just wanted to...
advice to him is to stay natural.
Yeah, that's what I was going to... So if you're 25% body fat, brother, what's going to happen is you're going to contain so much fluid if you take these things. You're going to hurt probably your heart. You're going to look not great. I don't know how you feel about this, Bostin, but I've lost body fat a lot of times, and sometimes I try to use androgens. If I try to use a bigger amount of androgens, it was hell. But if I use something like 200 to 500 milligrams of Test or Primo, something like that, it would help me lose body fat without retaining, probably Primo's better, without retaining so much fluid. Would you think he should just stay natural and lose weight?
Well, no, the Maswrestling at 100 mgs a weekly is going to do absolutely nothing.
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely.
The Dianabol at 15 mgs will give him maybe a little bit, but it's also going to bloat him. Proviron at 25 mgs daily, to me, that's pointless.
Yeah, I would never use Dianabol if I was fat, especially.
You bring the testosterone up to 500 and run it with an anti-estrogen.
Exactly, or run Primo at 600, something like
500 Test, 300 Primo.
Yeah, that would work. Exactly, that's true. That might be a little bit high also for the amount of body fat he has, but good point. Okay, we'll go to, so Dan the Man says for a slow lean bulk, weeks 1 through 10, he's either going to use 400 or 600 of Test Sip, and then he's going to use Tren E at 200 milligrams a week, also split from Pharmacom. I don't know what that is. This will be his first time trying Tren. He knows everybody recommends ACE. That's my first comment. Do not use enanthate unnecessarily. There's no need to, right? And then he's going to use Anadrol 25 to 50 milligrams per day the last 4 to 6 weeks of the 10-week cycle. And he might throw in CJC and ipamorelin before bed too for the whole cycle. What do you guys think about this?
Yeah, I like this cycle. I mean, I obviously would recommend him running 600 mgs of the SIP. 200 mgs of Tren E, 100 mgs twice a week. That's fine. At that low a dose, he probably doesn't even need an antiprolactin drug. 25 mgs to 50 mgs of Anadrol the last 4 to 6 weeks. Only run that if you could eat properly, because a lot of people kill their appetite. I do suggest people who run orals take 500 mgs of Ox Bile 3 times a day.
Yeah, or you could take, what I take, Bostin, is Tudca 1,000 milligrams 3 times a day. It's the same as Ox Bile. Both of them are,
Yeah, that works too with the NAC.
I take it with NAC, with alpha-lipoic acid, with a couple other free radical scavengers.
The Ox Bile will help with digestion big time.
Yeah, so I wanted to comment on a couple of things. First one is CJC and ipamorelin work very similarly. If you wanted to combine things, I would combine CJC with a Ghrelin mimetic like MK, because those will have slightly different effects. These two are GHRH analogs, but they're not Ghrelin analogs. So that's, oh, by the way, Bostin, that's why CJC may also add additional benefits when you add it to growth hormone. I realized, I was thinking about it. The CJC causes your own brain to produce growth hormone. So you produce all the molecular weights of growth hormone. There's over 4 of them. But when you inject it, you only have 1 kDa molecular weight of growth hormone. So they have different effects. So you'll probably get better effects if you combine either CJC or ipamorelin with Ghrelin, with like MK677 with the growth hormone. You get the whole array of effects.
Well, and then obviously doing it before bed though, so you don't want to take something that's going to make you hungry like right before you go to bed though.
Yeah, in fact, I mean, that's a good point. You could take the CJC before bed and the ipamorelin before bed, but if you took the Ghrelin, you'd want to take it in the morning because it also affects adrenaline and dopamine, all that, and it'll screw up your sleep.
I have my clients do like GHRP post-workout with CJC, and then before bed, a fat shot of IPAM, like 500 mcgs with CJC DAC.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. And then I wanted to say, I think if you're just using 200 milligrams of Tren E, you might not experience many side effects, but it's always better to start with ACE so you know what the feeling of the drug is. You know what I mean? Okay. This is the one we just did. Okay, the final one. So KY Kota says, first cycle, 4 years on TRT. He's 39. He's 6'5" at 250. He wants to do 6 weeks of 500 tests, 200 DECA, 60 milligrams Anavar pre-workout, 4 units of growth hormone post-workout, and HCG microdoses of 250 units 3 times a week. He's 6 weeks with normals, last 4 weeks. He's going to use 40 milligrams pre-workout. He has a Remadex. He'd like to be as fertile as possible during this cycle. Any suggestions would be awesome. Thank you for doing such great work. One first suggestion I would have is that the thing that would most turn off... Oh, he doesn't have DECA here, does he? Oh, yeah, he has DECA. So that is the thing that will most inhibit fertility on cycle. But you could be doing other things to affect your fertility. You could keep estradiol low. You could block those opioid receptors on the video that's coming up. You could use HCG at a real dose, not the microdose. So the lowest dose used in studies is 1,500 units for fertility studies. So maybe you could use 1,000, but 250 is ridiculous. What do you think, Bostin?
That's pointless. He needs to bring HCG to 500 3 times a week.
Bro, I remember when I was in Dubai in my early 20s, I bought these steroids from the steroid dealer. He's a hulking, massive guy. And I was like, I need HCG. I need a lot of HCG. He was like, why do you need HCG? I was like, what is it your business? I want HCG. Give me HCG. Then he was like, how much are you going to use? I said, I was going to use 2,500 units twice a week. He was like, that's crazy. Use 250 units once a week. I was like, what is this? People just make up stuff, bro. And then later I read the studies and it's like, nobody uses that dose ever. No wonder it didn't work. Anyway,
some of these places at the fertility clinics, they just throw the HCG in there at low dosages. It's just so they can charge more.
I was wondering, Bostin, because all the fertility clinics are like 150 units HCG once a week.
Push it so hard, dude. It's just to take people's money.
I was wondering. Okay. Moses says, hey, Leo, love the podcast. Could you ask Bostin about the wellness division, specifically about what you think those girls are taking in the off-season, cruise, etc.? I think it would be interesting. Should we discuss this on the next podcast with when your wife's there?
Yeah, we could. She's probably going to hate on it, but yeah.
Yeah, let's discuss it with her. Okay, let's give it for now. Okay, so New Cold says, why are there so few Asian and no Indian bodybuilders at the pro level? Do they all share a common genetic fault, or is it a number of reasons? In arm wrestling, do some countries do better than others? Yes, actually. But as a response to New Cold, Carved Out of Stone says, probably cultural too. Gyms are sparse in Asia. Supplements expensive as hell. Diets are tuned to favor higher carbs. People are generally smaller and thinner. Bodybuilders are still anomalies there. Also, the cultural mindset of blending in, not drawing attention to oneself defines the bodybuilding ethos. What do you guys think about the lack of Asians in bodybuilding? You think it's genetics, Bostin?
100%.
Yeah, me too.
I think they're genetically in the gutter. I think it's one of the worst. It's funny. Some Koreans look pretty good. It's weird. Some Koreans get pretty muscular. But as far as Chinese, it's really hard for them.
Yeah. I mean, what I think is we couldn't say genetic gutter. We could say they're not designed to carry muscle a lot, which is interesting, Bostin, if you think about it.
Hispanics. Hispanic. There's probably less Hispanic bodybuilders than there is Asian, huh?
Well, they're Asian. Hispanics are originally like related to Chinese and Japanese. So that's why some of them look a bit Asian. You ever noticed that?
Yeah. So
they have similar genetic pools. But what I was thinking is that, isn't it weird, Bostin, that Arabs who live in the desert, like peninsular Arabs, live in the desert, they're starving, they don't have water, but they retain a bit more muscle than the East Asians do.
My Arabic friend had amazing genetics growing up. They stay lean, a lot of them.
And they have shoulders usually, wide clavicles. Yeah, I agree with you. Although I make a footnote on this. We were commenting on the comment section. I was responding to someone. I think South Indians have the worst genetics in India. North Indians, like people that are Punjabi, or people that are Pashtun from Afghanistan, where the tribal people are, they have more Iranian genetics. These people tend to have better muscle development in my experience.
Pete, how about for powerlifting?
Yeah.
Well, Asians are really good at deadlift. I'm serious. Like,
because their legs are shorter.
See.
Oh no, that's a bad thing. No, like.
But sumo deadlift, okay, you got conventional deadlift and then sumo deadlift.
Yeah.
There are so many Asian powerlifters who pull sumo deadlift who are pulling like 800 pounds.
Really?
It's crazy. But they don't bench very good. But like sumo deadlift, the Asian guys dominate.
Fast.
Yeah, but as a whole, what race are champions? Usually like Russians or Germans or what?
Powerlifting, yeah, you're probably Russians. Russians are where it's at. Like, we get Russian guys who come to these big meets and they blow all the U.S. lifters out of the water. And I'm always like, what are they taking? Like, I want to know.
I think their drugs have to be better out there.
Well, they are, yeah.
They smoke us in powerlifting. We can't. I mean, we got good guys here, but you always get these like token Russian guys. And the main one I competed with was Yuri Belkin. He's like he's 230, 220-ish. and he was like squatting like 900 pounds and deadlifting 950 and like benching 530. He just killed us all. Like there was no chance for anybody.
In arm wrestling, it's similar. Like Slavic people dominate. But in arm wrestling, I don't know if this is true in powerlifting also. Georgians and like Ossetians, who are the original Iranians that didn't move to Iran, in that area of the Caucasus, they're very strong. Not just Slavic people. A lot of Georgians in the fight. I guess maybe it's because it's arm wrestling. It's a fighting thing.
Did you see that Iranian powerlifter, strongman guy? He's probably going to break the bench press world record.
There's also Turks as well, right?
Yeah, I don't know too much about them, but I know there's this Iranian guy named Zamani, and he benched like 745 like it was like an empty bar, like nothing.
Raw?
Like 135.
It didn't look real though.
Raw.
What?
I'm not sure if it was real.
It looks fake. It's so fast. The guy just like the world record bench is 783 by Julius Maddox. I'm actually kind of friends with him. He's not too far from here, but this guy just threw up 745 like it was a joke.
Unbelievable.
Like just
Julius.
I don't know.
Brad Castleberry holds the bench press world record.
Yeah, I mean, he's the best gym lifter in history.
Is that guy fusing fake plates?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So
he gets the spotters are like lifting the bar for him, and it's I don't know.
Okay.
that was really impressive, by the way, when Larry's friend dropped the bar on the bench press and Larry held it. He like held the whole 400 pound, 500 pound bar. Huh?
I heard there was people on the sides helping him though.
But he grabbed it for a second there. I was really impressed. Usually spotters can't actually hold the weight.
I couldn't watch that video. I still try to bench heavy, so I'm like, I can't watch this.
I hope you didn't donate to that asshole's GoFundMe.
No. I don't want to see that.
I'm never going on a bench press ever again in my life. Absolutely not.
I watched that shit on repeat because I hate that kid.
God, man.
Why do you hate him? What?
Dude, are you kidding me? That Ryan Crowley kid, he's the biggest joke in the game. I've been trolling that kid for years.
Bostin has years of trolling and subjects that we don't even know about. All right, so Art Moreno says, does Pete or any of you guys still browse the MISC section of bodybuilding.com? And what's your experience with
God.
George Lehman? Who is George Lehman? A lot of people asking about George Lehman.
Hey, I'm going to say some shit on here that's going to blow your fucking mind, but I'm going to let Pete go first.
Dude, the MISC is like the cesspool of the internet. Like I had to get off there because it was too negative for me. But like it was fun when I was a teenager because it was like it's bad, man. It's like going down a bad path. But no, George Lehman, I did one meet with him a long time ago, and he was like he talked to me for like 2 hours on the balcony at the hotel before the meet. Really cool, like deep conversation. He's got so many levels to him. Like he's a very deep guy. He was like the best deadlifter in the world probably 7-8 years ago.
Oh,
and then like he had the American record 909 deadlift, and he was like just a beast. Like we were somewhat rivals before that, but once I talked to him, I was like, this guy's so awesome because he just was like he's freaking smart as hell. Like he's so smart, but he kind of got out of the sport because he just got like fed up with it all, and he moved to Cambodia, and he's just been living out there. And he tries to stay under the radar. He doesn't like talking publicly, but he was like the guy. Like everybody thought he was going to be the best ever because he had that much talent, and he like worked his ass off. But
was he on YouTube?
Yeah, Bostin knows him because he's from Florida.
Dude,
Bostin knows him.
People are very curious about him on Instagram.
But Pete obviously doesn't know him to the level that I know him. He's been into my house. I had a threesome with him.
Oh, what's going on here?
We paid a stripper to come home, and we tag teamed a stripper, bro.
Oh, holy shit!
Oh my god!
He tried to take her money, and I had to end up paying her because she didn't make him come. Dude, he was face on my bed. Dude, he's a bad person. Like I don't regret a lot of things in my life, but he was so manipulative. Like you didn't hang out with him obviously long enough because his manipulative behaviors would have came out.
You didn't end up in a threesome, Pete.
No, I didn't, man.
You know,
He just had a conversation.
This story, I won't go into it, but this story I could tell for like an hour because it's one of my favorite stories. I've always wanted to tag team a chick, so I was like, this is fine. But I'm trying to tag team this chick, and I look over, and George is out of breath with his belly hanging over his dick. He's like, and I just instantly got soft because he's not attractive at all, right? And like just looking up and seeing this guy in my shower, like with a huge gut over his dick, like acting like he can't even breathe. I couldn't. So, anyways, I just stopped. I just said I can't do this anymore, and I literally walked out. And then he was trying to like face fuck her on my bed, and then he couldn't come, so he took her money. And then she freaked out, dude. I thought the cops were gonna
that's not by the way, that's very inappropriate with prostitutes. You always give them their money if they tried.
Well, I ended up having
just
to pay
a rule.
I ended up having to pay her because he took her money and left, and she freaked out. She went out in the front of my yard and started screaming at 4 a.m. Like, and I thought, but anyways, I will never. I know George because that's Ariella's best friend's ex-boyfriend.
Oh.
So Ariella's best friends is Tessa. You know Tessa, right?
Yeah, I knew about her, but I knew Vince too. I competed with Vince, and everybody disappeared. That's what happens in powerlifting. Everybody disappears. Everybody's like really strong and they disappear.
So when me and Ariella broke up, Tessa and George broke up, and Ariella and Tessa got a place together in my area, and her and Vince had a thing. Ariella and Vince were hooking up, and I found out about that. And then I was like, but me and Ariella, we're good. I'm just super open with my relationship, you know, like I'm openly talking about it, but that was like a bad time in my life. And George was a very bad influence on me. He was like a couple of years older. Like I've never been to the strip clubs in my life. The first time I went was with him. We went to all the strip clubs on 19. And then he ended up convincing me to bring this chick home for $300. And it was just all shitty, dude.
That's so Boston, how do people know to ask us a question about this? Because I had no idea. I didn't know the guy's name. And then there were like 15 responses.
But Pete obviously hasn't hung out with him long enough because he would have saw his bad behaviors.
I hung out with him for like 2 hours that one night. But like I was not expecting things to go that way.
He'll talk your ear off. He'll talk your ear off, huh?
Yeah, he's deep.
He goes on and on about his business opportunities, and
he seems very smart though.
This is such a funny discussion. I gotta Google this guy after. I have no idea who he is too. It's really funny.
Leo, he was like 350 fat when we tried the threesome with the chick.
For some reason, the way you described him, like out of breath and all that, makes me think of our mutual friend in LA that was a powerlifter also.
He looks like him. Hey, I
swear I was thinking of him. I was like, I can imagine that would have happened to me if I hung out with him too much.
Like him.
It's true.
It's probably the trend too, though, guys.
Oh yeah, the out of
probably
breath.
The trend, you know.
Dude, he was trying to fuck the stripper in her ass. She was like, "You're not fucking me in the ass." He was like, "I want to fuck." He was getting.
You're killing me.
He was like, "I'm fucking your ass tonight." She's like, "No, you're not."
Did you like? How long did you hang out with him? Like for like a year, like off and on?
Yeah, because he would come over and they would like smoke weed in the back, which I hated. And like me and Ariella were going through a breakup, but she was still living with me. So she would have George and Tess over. George started training Ariella for powerlifting, so they all hung out. George got really manipulative, and he treated his Tessa like shit, like controlling. Didn't even let her have a car. She couldn't drive out of her house, like super controlling. They ended up breaking up. Ariella and Tessa got a place together, and then me and George had nowhere to hang out, so he kept calling me wanting to hang out. And he's like a super depressed individual because his girl just left him. And dude, he was just I hope that was just a time in his life where it was really dark, and I hope he's gotten better. But if it's the same George, I mean, his brother just did a show, the show that my friend just won, my client just won. His brother just competed.
Wow, I see his brother was like pretty big and strong too.
His brother was like 360 and dieted all the way down to 230 for the show. He made a big transformation.
Holy crap! That's one hell of a bulk.
That's what. Leo, that's what George does a lot. He bulks up and he like cuts like 100 pounds, and he does this all the time. He'll like focus on strength and like it's crazy. I don't know. He was crazy strong back in the day.
It's incredible. Okay, so we'll take some. So Bo Houston. We have a second Bo. I don't know if he named himself after our first Bo, but he says, Leo, you talk about pulsing orals, example, using a few days a week before the workout. While this is obviously better for health and long-term use, wouldn't gains be significantly reduced as short half-life and compounds won't reach saturation? No, because we were talking about this a little while ago, but if you're using it for 4 weeks, the oral, versus using it all year for 1 or 2 days a week, that's the major difference. So my idea is that you're not, even if you use Chad Nichols' protocol, you're going to go 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off. So you're going to have a massive change. Instead of doing 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off, you could just do it half the week and continue. And the really thing about the liver is when you don't give it a break, that's when real dysfunction happens. It needs a little bit of a break. So I don't actually think it would reduce gains, but I'm not completely sure. I mean, I didn't use it for long enough. So Dad Live Cody says, can you talk a bit about rotating GH brands? I find after 16 weeks, I don't really feel on, but when I switched labs or went with CJC DAC, I feel like a newbie again to GH. Any input? What do you think, Boston? You notice that switching thing?
I've been saying this for years. You either need to cycle your growth hormone or you need to come off of it and replace them with peptides. You could do like 12 weeks of growth hormone followed by 6 weeks of peptides and then get back on the GH, or switch growth hormone brands. I think drugs are like any other drugs, like steroids, growth hormone. Yes. If you don't change what you're doing, either you change the time of the day you take the drugs, or you switch to a different brand, or you take some time off. I think your body just gets used to it, right? I mean, it's just like any other drug.
Yeah, I really think so, boss. I think it develops antibodies to the specific molecular structure of the GH you're using.
And that's probably why these pros have to keep raising their dose.
Which is why the competitive athlete that I'm coaching that you know about, Boston, he's using as many GHs as possible. So we're rotating between brands. So he has a Chinese day, then he has a Norditropin day, then he has a Genotropin day, and in between each day is a day off.
I think that's smart.
Yeah, you're really... Okay, so Nick Stein says, is protein intake overrated? Every study I see says 1.2 to 1.8 grams per kg for elite athletes. Do enhanced athletes need more protein, or does the enhancement just increase protein synthesis? Personally, I've noticed no difference in performance or body composition eating 180 grams or 270 grams per day. What do you guys think about this? This is a very interesting subject.
I think protein for the natural athlete, you can only get away with so much. But as far as somebody who could process foods better, proof's in the pudding, the best coaches in the world for bodybuilders all push protein.
Yeah, let's talk about Chad and Milos.
Chad, Hani is huge on protein, just like Hani.
Hani's like that too?
Oh, Hani and Chad are, minimum 10 to 12 ounces, sometimes 14 ounces per meal.
Yeah. Wait, let's make this clear to the audience. We're talking about 12 ounces if it's chicken or fish, 8 ounces if it's meat at least. Cooked. Yeah. So that's a lot of meat you're talking about.
6 to 7 times a day.
Exactly. And my theory for why this happens, and I've asked Chad about it, and I was trying to understand, why would you feed a guy so much protein and then have him do cardio for an hour on the off season? Why don't you just feed him less? My theory is this: food is a signaling molecule. Protein, especially leucine and methionine, signal to your body to grow. You can also use the protein much more when you have enhanced protein synthesis. So you're basically signaling to your body to grow with the protein. You don't really need the calories or the building blocks. It's also a hormone. So that's why I think Milos has this 500 grams. And, we have to learn from empiricism.
A lot of these coaches too now are lowering the protein and having their clients do leucine in the middle of every meal.
I do that. Oh, what the hell? I didn't know people were doing this. I do 5 grams of leucine with the protein. So you can reduce a bit of the protein, but get more signaling. So
when I work with Fakri Mubrai, he had me doing, I never did it, but he had me doing 2.5 grams of leucine in between each meal.
Oh, then you're going to get insulin resistant eventually. But I do it with the meals. Okay, so Real GPS says, question for Pete. And I know we talked about this a little bit before, Pete, but I thought it would be cool. Do you think years of steroid use has permanently changed your physique in a positive way, such as more muscle fibers? How's your deadlift, squat, bench now as opposed to pre-steroid days? So we know they're very close. But do you notice changes in your physique?
Yeah, I feel like my physique is, honestly, I probably should be ashamed of this. My physique is almost as good as it was on gear. Come
on, hit some poses for us.
No, God. I don't want to embarrass myself.
Are you lean? Are you lean?
Fairly.
Like 10%?
Probably 11. I have abs. I don't know. But my traps have shrunk a lot. Like that's the first thing. My traps are way freaking bigger. And like my neck traps, my arms have shrunk. I lost like 2 inches on my arms. I probably gained a little of that back now. But I'm down from 250 to freaking 223. Like that's a lot of mass. So, but my physique, the shape of it, it all looks pretty much the same. Like,
really?
Proportionally, like 223.
A lot looser.
Yeah. My shirt, I still wear 2X, but it's like people would come up to me who hadn't seen me in a while, and they're like, "Man, what happened? You lost a lot of weight." And I'm just like, that kind of thing.
Bro, the first time I saw Scott Mendelson after I lost the weight, he was like, "What the fuck happened to you?" I was like, "Oh, nothing." He's like, "Are you sick?" He thought I was like ill, like dying. He was like, "What the hell?" Shocks people. But Pete, explain the neck. So people have been getting on me about my neck. Apparently it's grown a little bit. I'm not working it out, by the way. Just to be clear, why would you not work out your neck? Because we have sleep apnea and don't want our necks to be bigger. Yeah. But how your neck is interesting. I was watching your video today and I have a problem with my neck. I used to do these back movement exercises. So whenever my neck grows, the back grows and my neck gets shorter. Yours is still low, so it looks cool. You have like a proper neck. Did you never train it from the back?
No, I never trained my neck. I never did shrugs. I never did traps. I just did deadlifts. That's it. And it was heavy enough. My traps were so big and my neck was huge, but I've lost all that now.
You have
it's
apnea?
all good.
You had apnea, right?
I did. I had it really bad. I don't know if I have it anymore. My wife says I sleep way better. I don't snore as much, but I'm also like almost 30 pounds lighter. So I don't know how much you can look into that. What's that?
What's the heaviest you've ever been?
Dude, okay, I was actually working with a bodybuilding coach for a little while last off season to see if I would get stronger. I was eating like 900 grams of carbs a few days a week and stuff.
Which coach?
I was Justin Harris.
Okay, he's good.
I was eating like crazy. Like it was killing me because I wasn't used to that bodybuilding diet, and I got up to like 263.
Were you pretty?
What's that?
You're pretty lean, I'm guessing, at that weight, right?
Yeah, I definitely put on some water weight because I was on test and EQ. But 264 was like this time last year. I swear to God, I was 264. I came off everything. I got down to like 212, and now I'm like 223. But it's like you said, you can't look big.
You see how he paused when I asked him who his coach was? He thought I was going to
I was like, oh, shit. Okay, I was a little nervous.
No, Justin's a good dude. I don't recommend him for pre-contest. His guys don't seem to come in shape. He was actually training George Lehman's brother for the show.
Oh, wow.
But he's very good for putting on muscle in the offseason. I just don't recommend him for pre-contest.
Zyker asks, what ancillaries should you run or have on hand with your first AAS cycle to minimize health risks? What compounds should you run on your first AAS cycle on top of test as a strength-focused person? Oh, that's the second question. I didn't know that was there. So that depends on the person. But Pete, what would you say? Anavar is the lowest risk strength increasing compound, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I didn't discover Anavar till like way later in my career. I'm pissed because I never got to run it with Tren. But like I could add Anavar in and my strength blew up. I loved it. It literally became my favorite steroid as far as like minimal sides. The strength gains were crazy. I could put
sounds like he's taking D-ball.
I don't know, man. It was Juice Pals. It was good. I don't know.
The thing is, Pete, I was like you, but my thing was that I thought that all oral steroids were significantly liver toxic. I mean, I know that Anadrol and Danable were worse, but I thought all of them were really liver toxic. So I said, if I'm going to take an oral, why don't I take one that has some bang for the buck? I'm going to take Anadrol or Danable. I'm not going to take Anavar, a woman's drug. But later I find out that Anavar has never been associated with liver cancer in history. So it's like it's barely liver toxic. It does cause cholestasis in some studies, but at high doses. It's like really pretty innocuous. But about his first question, what ancillaries should you have on hand? I want to answer this quickly because some people haven't heard me say it before. So a couple of things. The first thing when you go on cycle, your blood pressure increases. So you need something that dilates your blood vessels, maybe an ARB or an ACE inhibitor. Next thing when you go on cycle, androgens modulate adrenaline, and adrenaline modulates your heart rate. So to control your heart rate, you may want a beta blocker. Also, there's a class of drugs called SGLT2 inhibitors that may improve your insulin sensitivity and protect your kidneys, like empagliflozin. Am I missing anything that I not normally mention? I don't think so.
What about ezetimibe?
Ezetimibe. Oh, cholesterol. So you may need at least ezetimibe. Your cholesterol your LDL cholesterol will increase by about 30%. So you need to control it. It's either with ezetimibe or with a statin or with a PCSK9 inhibitor, or with bempedoic acid. So yeah, those are the general. And then also you probably have to have Nolvadex if you don't know how you respond to gynecomastia, and maybe an AI. What do you guys think?
Bostin, did telmisartan lower your blood pressure at all?
It's hard to say because I'm in stage 5, so nothing really lowers my blood pressure that much. But it was weird, man. Like I thought it was the beta blocker that was keeping me a little puffy and fat, but I think it was the telmisartan. And then Leo kind of told me that it's not really the best one for, if you're trying to stay lean. But I mean, all of the blood pressure meds lower me about 20 points, but getting from that like 140 down to 120 is impossible. Like my blood pressure on a good day is like 140 over 70.
Now still? Wait, you got it under control though a while ago. It got worse?
No, 140 over 70 is consistent, but my doctor, actually the new doctor, says anything over 160 over 90 in stage 5 is where I should be.
Yeah, because it's very difficult to maintain the... Yeah, Bostin, you're so aware of yourself. I'm so surprised you noticed the HCG thing, which I had no idea about. Then you noticed the telmisartan thing, which I didn't think anybody would really notice.
Yeah, I thought it was a beta blocker doing that, but it was definitely the telmisartan because I'm on a beta blocker and my weight's not like... I mean, I'm on the, what's it called? The Cardivis, Carvedal.
Carvedal, yeah.
The doctor seemed to really like that one.
How's your blood pressure, Pete? Has it...
It was like 140/90 and nothing, natural. Like natural, no drugs, 140/90. I started taking telmisartan like 6 weeks ago. It's like, it gets down to like 130, sometimes 125 over like 80, 85. I'm like, it doesn't lower it that much.
No, I bet if you used 80 milligrams of valsartan, you'd be about the same level, and then maybe 120 milligrams of valsartan, you'd be there.
Do you think I should
how much are you taking? 80 mgs?
I'm taking 40 mgs telmisartan, and then...
Oh, yeah, you probably want to take... If you're going to take telmisartan, I would do the max dose, which is 80.
But it has diminishing... Yeah, you could also do that without ordering new drugs,
I'm going to add in valsartan. Leo told me about that. And I started taking rosuvastatin and ezetimibe.
You're going to add valsartan to your telmisartan or just swap it over?
Both.
Oh, really? You're going to use the ACE and ARB? I guess you could try it. It did nothing for me. It made me feel like shit. So
no, he's using
valsartan?
Both ARBs, valsartan and telmisartan, just for the PPR gamma.
Right. I use the ACE and ARB.
Yeah, that's my...
I know, Bostin, you said Ramipril was really good too, so I thought about that one.
Ramipril for my clients, it puts everyone real low where they need to be if they have a blood pressure issue. Right now, I'm only taking Ramipril and Carvites. And actually I add in, since I haven't been training, I added in the calcium channel blocker, amlodipine, I think that's what the name of it. And,
you notice any side effects from adding that in?
Huh?
How do you feel after you added the calcium channel blocker? Do you notice side effects?
Good. I mean, dude, like I feel great. Like it's hard to say because I'm taking those anti-nausea meds. So my main issue before was the nausea, but I don't get any nausea anymore because those meds.
Wait, bro, we skipped over this. You shot your dick up? What happened?
Yeah. Have you ever guys used Caberject?
No, I've read about it for like 15 years. So what happened?
This is great. So you know who Luke Carroll is, right?
No.
He's an IFBB pro bodybuilder, works with Phil Viz.
Okay.
Okay, so anyways, he told me, he's like, have you ever tried this shit? And I'm like, because I think that it got brought up because of my Molly dick. Yeah. And I'm like, no, what the fuck is that shit? And I know bodybuilders use Caberject in their muscles right before they go on stage.
Oh, interesting.
I knew that, but I didn't know, and I also knew that it was those prescription for penis, enhancement. So, dude, I get it. Guess who I got it from?
Anabolic pharmacist.
Yeah, so he sent it.
Shout out.
I'm like, send that shit to me. And then I also had another source from Europe that sent it to me, but I just haven't got it yet.
Yeah.
So anyways, it was the weirdest shit shooting your dick with an insulin syringe. I mix it up.
Bro, you went in the top part of the corpus cavernosa?
So here's your dick. You go on the side.
Oh, yeah. But in the top part, not on the bottom part.
Yeah.
Oh, no, on the bottom it tells you to. Like,
really?
If my dick's like that big, you're shooting it like right here. But soft. So my dick's like soft and I'm shooting it like right there. But dude, the weirdest thing. So anyways, I shoot that shit and I feel my shit growing like within 5 minutes. And the boner was so much crazier than usual. My dick hurt for another day because it shrunk the skin.
Yeah, that's what pumping feels like sometimes. Wow.
So it's supposed to give you 15%, Luke said, which I think it did. The orgasms were definitely better. You could last longer. So check this out. So the next day was our anniversary, so I wanted to use it again. So I use it. I go to use it again, and dude, shooting your dick is the weirdest feeling ever. It's like the most bizarre thing ever. I didn't go deep enough the second time, so I got literally, Leo, 0 effects the second time.
Wait, why? What? You got a what?
The second time I did it, I didn't go deep enough, and it didn't give me any effects.
I know. I've actually injected there before. It's not a pleasant fucking experience, man. I never injected. Huh? Well, I experimented a lot. And bro, I've tried everything just experimentally. That's why I tell people that there's no compound. Like when Amin says this video, growth hormone grows your dick, I'm like, bro, you're lying. I know you're lying because I've tried it. And it's you're lying.
No way, man. I never grew on growth hormone.
No, you can't like inject your dick with growth hormone and it grows. But a lot of people tried this. I had to try it a few times. Bro, it's so scary to inject your dick. I don't know how you did it.
Oh, so you injected your dick with GH?
Yeah, with more than just GH, with multiple things.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, when I got it in the mail from Anabolic Pharmacists, that's the first thing I was unraveling to shoot my shit up.
But how did you do it? How did you brave it, man? It's scary because you got to go deep. You can't, and you always want to. You don't want to go deep. So it's like there's like a pull away from doing it.
But I got a new syringe out to do it. I didn't reuse for that.
You were gonna reuse,
but I did reuse for the second shot. For the second shot, I reused it.
All right, we'll take one last question.
You guys got to try that shit. It gives you the ultimate boner.
Dude,
I might try it now that I know you tried it.
Yeah, Anabolic Pharmacist, dude. I'm telling you, 2.5 mcgs. That's all you need.
All right, we'll do one last.
The vial lasts you 5 uses.
Fascinating. No, I mean, Boston, I'm not joking. I might try it just for the sake of knowing I've tried it because my whole life I was scared to do it, but you did it easily. So
your dick will stretch so much it hurts. I
wonder if it could be used in combination with pumping, especially. It's very interesting. Usually people who pump use Cialis so they can get better erections so they can stretch it out a bit more. Okay, final thing. Tristan Franken says, I'll repost my question because I believe the other podcast never came through. But did either Boston or Pete ever experience check drops? Back in my younger days, I was looking for the most aggressive compound, and check drops and halotestin were first and second. Also, just a general question on favorite rage-inducing compounds.
You want to go
check drops?
That one first.
Yeah, check drops are freaking awesome.
What's the difference between them and Halo? What are check drops?
Check drops hit faster, in my opinion. I took them before a meet. I took them before a deadlift during a meet, and I combined them with Adderall, and I was so freaking focused. I felt like I could lift any weight on the bar. It was the craziest, blind rage. It gave me way more rage than halotestin.
Oh, wow.
I loved it. You remember how much you took? They usually come in 250 mcgs.
I just took some guy, said, try this. I said, yeah. So
that's how powerlifting is.
Powerlifter so much. Hey, take this. I remember one powerlifter. Hey, man, do you have some Halo? I heard it helps. Yeah, here.
Boston, that's literally how it is at the powerlifting gym here. You want some Halo? There's a line in the back. A line? What am I doing with a line of Halo? But anyway, have you used them, Boston?
No, dude. I get jealous when I hear these stories of Pete or anyone else saying oh, I've used this and that and I've gotten all those results. Leo, my receptors must be so fried because I had legit check drops, 250 mcg tabs that dissolve on your tongue. I've used injectable check drops, 3 milligrams, 3 cc's of that shit. And all I do is get hot. I literally don't get crazy like people say they do. A lot of people say they take it and they feel he said, in the zone, just crazy. And I didn't get any effects like that. I just get hot, Tren suspension. You would think that I would feel it, right? No, I just get hot.
Wow.
I don't feel anything. And strength gains, forget about it. Whether I'm natural on a gram of Tren, I don't get stronger.
I wonder if this means that your blood-brain barrier is extreme. There are genetic polymorphisms that make some people, your bloodstream, molecules from it, don't go into your brain as easily. But the thing is, when you use psychoactive drugs, you do fine.
What kind of drugs? Like
Molly or things like that. They affect you.
Oh, yeah, I feel those.
Yeah, so it's really a suspicious thing. I think you've adapted to it so much.
So many steroids that my body's I don't know, maybe this break. By the way, for 15 days not having any testosterone, no nothing, I'm still getting hard and able to have sex. I'm shocked.
Thank God. Are you using HCG?
Nothing.
Wow, incredible.
Nothing.
Wow, I hope that continues.
When I would do that, I'd feel good for 3 weeks, and then after 21 days, it started hitting me. That's why I'd lost all my strength, no libido, felt like garbage.
Yeah, I need to go take another shot for sure.
Hey, Pete,
I was like you though too, because my receptors the last couple of years were terrible. I got nothing of how it used to be. It didn't affect me at all anymore.
Yeah,
My
like
receptors
when
were
you
fried.
50 mgs of Anadrol.
I tried it, didn't do anything.
Yeah, so exactly. So I'm the same way, man. I mean, your doses are crazy. I've never ran MPP that high. You said 1,500 mgs. I've never ran it that high.
It was for like 10 days, 2 weeks right at the end. I was just like trying to go all in. You basically, before a powerlifting meet, you pin your whole stash almost, you know?
Dude, that's what Larry Pollock was telling me. I got him on the phone the other day. He said these powerlifters don't really take that much drugs in the off season. And then getting ready, like when they're a week or two out, they load up on everything. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, bro. Literally, they see 3cc in every muscle group. And then travel to the Arnold with just oil. That's
what you do.
It probably doesn't even absorb till after the fucking meet.
See, that's it though. That's why powerlifters like, I only take 500 tests and like a little bit of this, because they do for like 10 weeks, and then the last 3 weeks they're just like fucking just pin everything, like your whole stash. I don't know where we got that from, but we all do it. We're like, oh my god, 2 weeks out, we got to pin our whole stash.
I know. I was wondering if there was, but hey, I'll tell you guys though, there is hope. So when I was at the end of my steroid using thing 3.5 years ago, I would take 100 milligrams of Anadrol and 100 milligrams, actually 100 to 300 milligrams of test suspension before workouts. So I would take those two each workout. Now I don't really use steroids, but I use pre-workout androgens, and sometimes I try other things, but mainly pre-workout androgens. If I take 50 milligrams of Anadrol, I am much stronger in the gym. I feel it fully. Like before, if I took 50, I wouldn't feel it. It had to be 100. Now I feel 50 completely, and my sensitivity is not declining because I never take it 3 days in a row or 2 days in a row. So you can recover.
I jump off everything for until I figure out what happened to my kidneys, and then once I get on dialysis, maybe I would respond like a fucking crazy person.
That's not a bad plan, right? Get your sensitivity back and then get on the dialysis.
Like complete shit for a full year and then make a comeback.
Exactly. All right, guys, I'll let you go. It was wonderful talking to you guys.
Yes, sir. It was awesome talking to both of you.
Sounds good.
Boston, we kept him up really late in Tennessee. I don't know if he's ever been awake this late.
Is that why you're in your basement?
Yeah, this is like I don't even know what to call it. I have to like go outside to get in this room. I don't know. Everybody else is asleep though. What's that?
Is your weight room in there?
No, I lifted in here for like 6 months when I was transitioning between gyms, but there's nothing in here. It's just like storage.
It looks like a rape facility.
It's a weird looking room, man.
It's literally like a shed. Like think of it like a shed.
On that note,
that's the door outside.
We'll see you guys next soon. All right, Pete. Talk to you
soon. See you guys.
Bye bye.